It is with deep sadness that the government and the world has learnt of the passing of the father of South Africa's democracy, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. He passed on peacefully in the company of his family around 2000 hours and 50 minutes on the 5th of December 2013. The man who became one of the world's greatest icons was born in Mvezo, Transkei on 18 July 1918. Tunonga Pinosekeni and Henry Gadla Mandela. His father was the key consular advisor to the Tembu Royal House. After his father's death in 1927, the young Rolihlahla became the ward of Chief Jongintaba Dalindyebo and the acting regent of the Tembu nation. It was at the Tembu Royal Homestead that his personality, values, and political views were shaped. There can be no doubt that the young man went on to bring about some of the most significant and remarkable changes in South African history and politics. It is through Mandela that the world cast its eyes on South Africa and took notice of the severe and organized repression of black South Africans. Yet it is also through Mandela that the world would learn the spirit of endurance, the triumph of forgiveness, and the beauty of reconciliation. Indeed, the story of Nelson Mandela is so much so the story of South Africa. When he was only 25 years old, Nelson Mandela joined the African National Congress. His political career would span decades more. As he himself said, "The struggle is my life." The young Mandela also qualified and practiced as a lawyer. Together with Oliver Tambo, he opened the first black legal practice in Johannesburg. Mandela married Evelyn Nomatamsanga Mase in 1945. They were married for 14 years and had 4 children. Tembekile in 1946, Magaziwe in 1947, who died at 9 months, Magatu in 1950, and Magaziwe in 1954. The couple divorced in 1958. He was instrumental in the formation of the radical ANC Youth League in the 1940s, which was determined to change the face of politics. Mandela was elected to the League's National Secretary in 1948 and President in 1952. Much of the years that followed saw Mandela deeply involved in activism, rallying for political change against the increasingly aggressive apartheid government. He was a key player in the ANC's campaign for the defiance of unjust laws in 1952 and the treason trial in 1961. During this time, he was incarcerated several times under the apartheid laws and banned from political activity. Realizing that the ANC needed to prepare for more intensive struggle, he became an instrumental force behind the formation of a new section of the liberation movement, Umkhonto Wesizwe, MK. As an armed nucleus with a view to preparing for an armed struggle, Mandela was commander-in-chief of MK. On 14 June 1958, Nelson and Winnie Madikizela were married at a local Bizana church. They had 2 children, Zanani in 1958 and Zinziswa in 1960. In April 1992, they were separated and finally divorced in 1996. He left the country in 1962 and traveled abroad to arrange guerrilla training for members of MK. On his return to South Africa, he was arrested for illegally exiting the country and incitement to strike. Mandela decided to represent himself in court. While on trial, Mandela was charged with sabotage in the Rivonia trial. This is his famous statement from the dock made in 1964. "I have fought against white domination, and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve, but if needs be, it is an ideal I am prepared to die." In the same year, Mandela and the other accused were sentenced to life imprisonment in the Rivonia trial and sent to Robben Island near Cape Town. While in prison, Mandela rejected the offers made by his jailers to be released on condition that he renounce violence. "Prisoners cannot enter into contracts," he said. "Only free men can negotiate." He served a total of 27 years in prison for his conviction to fight apartheid and its injustices. Released on 11 February 1990, Mandela plunged wholeheartedly into his life's work, striving to attain the goals he and others had set out almost 4 decades earlier. In 1991, at the first national conference of the ANC held in South Africa after being banned for decades, Nelson Mandela was elected president of the ANC, while his lifelong friend and colleague, Oliver Tambo, became the organization's national chairperson. In a life that symbolizes the triumph of a human spirit, Nelson Mandela accepted the 1993 Nobel Peace Prize along with F.W. de Klerk. And on behalf of all South Africans who suffered and sacrificed so much to bring peace to our land, the era of apartheid formally came to an end on April 27, 1994, when Nelson Mandela voted for the first time in his life, along with his people. However, long before that date, it had become clear, even before the start of negotiations at the World Trade Center in Kempton Park, that the ANC was increasingly charting the future of South Africa. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was inaugurated as president of a democratic South Africa on 10th May 1994. This world icon worked tirelessly, even after the achievement of democracy in South Africa, to continue improving lives. Even as he retired from politics, his attention shifted to social issues such as HIV and AIDS and the well-being of the nation's children. As a testimony to his sharp political intellect, wisdom, and unrelenting commitment to make the world a better place, Mandela formed a prestigious group called the Elders, an independent group of eminent global leaders who offer their collective influence and experience to support peace building, help address major causes of human suffering, and promote the shared interest of humanity. Mr. Mandela is survived by his wife Grasa, 3 daughters, 18 grandchildren, and 12 great-grandchildren. Sithi Dalipo.